Welcome to Irresistible You Ignite Your Passion and Purpose. I'm your host, Karen Seltz. I am so excited that you're here with me tonight. I have a special guest named Rhonda Delaney. Woo, woo. Hey, Rhonda.
Hello, hello.
Rhonda is a leadership expert. We're going to talk about leadership is a verb tonight. And let me just tell you like a little bit about Rhonda. She brings 35 years of real world leadership experience to this discussion. She actually built 2 successful digital marketing teams as a stay-at-home mom. She earned many trips and awards, and she entered the official workplace at 43 years old. And then she spent 15 years helping the company achieve a regular 97% employee satisfaction evaluation and increase annual profits from, are you ready for this? $250,000 to $3.2 million. Is that pretty freaking cool or what? So now she helps executives learn how to turn their employees into raving fans and to build their employee satisfaction and their culture in that way. So I'll let her tell you more about it, but welcome, Rhonda. I'm so excited that you're here.
I'm excited to be here too. Thank you very much for that intro. It was a pretty cool experience. I had a phenomenal boss who was the president and CEO. I was second in command. And between the two of us, we were the yin and the yang and made it all happen. So I know how important it is to have some leader. So if you're the small business owner or you are the leader, you got to be working with your people and find their strengths and all of those good things.
That's amazing. And I love this term raving fans, and that as you're teaching business owners to turn their employees or their team into raving fans. So tell us like what led you to that conclusion that this is what's a really important essential ingredient in building a successful small business.
I think it's been my whole journey. I laugh and tell people, I've been a leader since kindergarten, but I feel like that. I was very into athletics. I was the captain of every team that I was on. When I was doing the direct sales, the 2 companies that I worked with, my role was to bring people into those companies and to help those people succeed. So I understood very, very well how important it was that I was giving them everything they needed in order to do the job that I had asked of them, and that was to sell the product. And they made me look good, and it was my effort and their effort that actually got me on the trips. It wasn't all mine, it was theirs too. And so the same thing in this corporate environment that I was in, it was my team of people being excited and engaged that met the sales goals, that caused us to get these fabulous bonuses from the owner of the company, these cash bonuses at the end. So everybody was all in because we were all going the same way. And the place that our focus was the customer, making sure the customer got what they needed, exactly how they ordered it, and it was delivered at the time they asked for it. So every department, when I finished at the company, I had 5 departments that I was responsible for. Lots of different wheels and things, but every single department cared as much about the other departments as they did about their own. We can't get the order in, get the art done, mold the chocolate, get it shipped and to the customer without everybody's help. Everybody had to be on it together. And so when people love their job, when they feel valued and they feel seen, they will do whatever it takes for you to accomplish your goal, whatever that goal is. If that's to reduce costs, if that's to increase sales, if it's to increase profit, if it's to come in on the weekend because it's just all hands on deck, we've got to get this push out. And it's buy-in. And then the neat thing about raving fans is they don't expect you to be perfect. They do expect you to give your all the time. They expect you to be honest. They expect you to say it like it is, right? But they will follow you. You know, think of yourself. If you got bands that you love and you travel to their concerts, right? Or you buy their merch, or you buy all of their albums. Or it could be the sports team. I mean, we've just had the Super Bowl, right? You've got people flying from all over the place to actually see their team play. That's what you want to instill in people. You want to create the environment that gives them the opportunity to become a fan. And the way that you do that is by serving them. You know, I'm sure you've seen at the end of, I watch a lot of football, and I'm a Seahawk, right? We're here in the north of Seattle. Virtually every player and every coach at the end of any press that they're doing, they thank the 12s. And that's the fan base. That fan base has caused phenomenal amounts of false starts in visiting teams because of their noise. That fan base is invested in this team, and the team recognizes them regularly. And that's what fan needs. Fans are happy to give you their energy. They want to be seen. So
Yes.
that's
Let's talk about that.
why.
Let's talk about, like, what is your actual definition of seeing someone?
Seeing someone, to me, is first and foremost recognizing who they are as a person, accepting and acknowledging their strengths and their challenges, weaknesses, whatever you want to call them, and making sure that you put them in a position to excel and do really well utilizing those strengths.
Yeah, that reminds me, like, you can't do that unless you really know them and know what their strengths are. So that's really beautiful. So how do you go
And
about—
one of my big tenets is the first thing in my program is to be interested. Yeah, you have to be interested. You can't get to caring about them as a human being if at first you're not interested in them as a human being. And by being interested, no, it's not sitting them down and grilling them. And it takes time. All of this takes time to evolve. This whole becoming a raving fan inside your business. You're an employee, you walk in the first day, and if your response when you leave that day and go home and tell your family, yeah, it was okay, that's not okay. They should be going home, oh, you wouldn't believe, it was such a nice feeling, right? I felt appreciated. You know what they did? They had somebody walk through the employee manual with me, and then another person came and walked me around the building and introduced me to everybody, and I learned kind of how things work, and oh, this is going to be fun to work here, right? Instead of, oh yeah, here's your paperwork, fill it out, and then there's your desk, and figure out how to put it all, get it on, and here's the list of your tasks, and away you go. And unfortunately, there's a lot of companies out there that operate that way. When Gallup did the survey, 72% of the employees surveyed, of over 10,000, said that their boss was absolutely the worst part of their job.
Wow.
72%.
I would love to see the survey results of the bosses and how they rate themselves because there's a big discrepancy. They probably think, oh, people would rate me the best boss.
Yeah. So seeing people is just appreciating them for who they are. You'll be able to get this visual here for those that are learning what kind of student they are. If you're a visual learner, this one will help. If you go into the garden center and you see all the packets of seeds, and you see a sunflower, this gorgeous sunflower on this seed packet, and you buy it and you put it in the ground. I term my crew, my team, my students as people gardeners. So a gardener knows that when they put into the ground a sunflower seed, they will never, ever, under any circumstance, get a rose. Ever. It's not what's in that seed. What's in that seed is a sunflower. It's the same with people. If you're an introvert, quit trying to make them an extrovert. If you're an extrovert, quit trying to make them an introvert. If they prefer the background, quit pulling them into the foreground. Those are all ways that you, as the business owner, as the leader, can show that I see you and I appreciate you for who you are. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
yeah, that's really beautiful because I've had people, you know, I'm a little bit of an extrovert, you may have noticed.
A little bit.
Yeah, and then I've had people, you know, who value that sometimes, and I've had other bosses who are like, why can't you be more quiet, more reserved? I'm like, have you met me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't feel seen or accepted, and I felt like I had to pretend to be something I wasn't, and that doesn't feel good.
Right. Well, and another way that I know I learned how to be really effective in helping people know and understand that I saw them is when it comes to recognition. The quiet person, the introvert, the left brain, the engineer, whatever label you want to slap on that spectrum, they appreciate the pull aside. You know what? I just really loved how you handled this particular situation. The words that you used and your graphics, everything that you did really spoke to that. So thank you so much for doing that. The salesperson, the extrovert that's in the room, it's no air horn. Okay, everybody, listen up. I got something to say about so-and-so, right? And to them, that was, she recognized. I want people to know that I've done a good job. So you have to know your people. And that means you've got to spend time with them and you have to be interested in them as humans.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm getting is it's not a one size fits all.
Mhm.
You know,
It's
everybody receives differently. And for some people, for introverts, it sounds like if you did the air horn, they would be demotivated, embarrassed, like want to hide under the table,
oh, totally.
and would not be raving fans.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, you use that word demotivated. What that does is it causes hesitation in them to actually step up to the plate and do, because they're afraid what you're going to do.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Right? So they pull back. And it's just like the other guys, if you give it to them quietly, they're going, ah, what's the point? You know, I'm in it for the applause. I'm in it for the recognition. That's what I love. So yeah, and a lot of leaders and business owners, they get overwhelmed because they get in their head, how am I going to keep all of this straight? Like, why do I have to be so many different things for all of these people? The reality is, if every day you just simply do one thing or you check in with one, it takes several months, but it doesn't take that long for you to get to know your people. And then you just automatically start moving and shaking and massaging and changing how you are presenting yourself. But yeah, we're all unique. And every single person in your company deserves a boss that embraces that uniqueness.
So what happens if you have more of an introverted boss that's driving this and is really uncomfortable with those social interactions? Is that a trainable skill?
I believe that it is trainable. from my perspective, it's just as hard for an extrovert to tone it down as an introvert to step it up. It's uncomfortable. It's not where you sit. It's not just kind of you. One thing that I encourage extroverts, especially, not so much or introverts, not so much extroverts, is find the extroverts on your team and bring them in to do some of the extroverted activities that you're uncomfortable with. They'll love it. You know, yeah, I'm on stage, no problem, right? You know, when it's appropriate to do. But yeah, we all as leaders, business owners, we don't get to stay stagnant. We have to grow. Doesn't matter what our personality is. It doesn't matter what our skill set is. It doesn't matter any of those things. We don't get to stand still while we expect everybody else to step up. So yeah,
that's
we got to do a
brilliant.
little bit of that too.
And I love that when you invite the extroverts, that's another way of seeing them. Like, I see these are your skills and you would love doing this. So here you go.
Another really neat thing that I discovered when I was leading the 5 different departments is I learned things about people that skills that they had that they didn't utilize in their job. It was kind of like hobbies or extra things. If you can incorporate those skills into another department, it could be, this was a real thing that happened. An artist, right? Most people think right brain, very creative, you know, they've got lots of good emotion and feeling. Loved Excel. Go figure. Was really good at it. So said, hey, you know what? I've got this project over here that needs doing. Do you want to do that? Oh, I'd love to do that. It's a break from doing the art. She loved it, and so it can energize. So you can take, when you are interested in your people and you really start to learn who they are and what they do outside the building, as well as inside the building, you can start to customize their job description in all sorts of really neat, unique ways.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And it just reminds me, like, I'm going to use an analogy, like in a relationship, a romantic relationship, for example. I'm always looking for someone who would appreciate all the facets of me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with a job, like a boss. If I found someone who appreciated, because I have a lot of different skills and abilities by this age, a lot of different interests.
Right.
If somebody could hit on a lot of those, I would become a raving fan. I can see how that would work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and what raving fans do when you cultivate them is they take so much off of your plate as the business owner and give you freedom that you haven't had up until this point. Because these people, not only are they doing a bang up job, they're doing it on time, under budget, and they're coming up with ideas of how things can improve. Like they're in it. So your profit is going to go up and your freedom, the amount of freedom. So if you want to take off and go for a round of golf in the afternoon, you go and you don't worry. You want to be gone for 4 weeks on vacation with no electronics, nothing from the company, they've got your back because they know everything inside out and backwards. And they know that between them, they have the IQ to solve any problem that might come up. And you trust them because they have proved themselves. And you've given them opportunity to prove themselves by not only giving them the responsibility, but the authority to make decisions.
Oh, this is all so good. And it's making me like want to be back in the workplace if I had a boss like that, but
Yeah,
I haven't found so many. So
yeah.
I can see how people would be enrolled in that idea of doing it. Do you have any practical tips for people that are controlling or like they have trouble trusting other people? And they're like, the people like they will give an assignment and then they'll say, oh no, that's not how I wanted it done. Then they'll redo it, or they have trouble letting go of things. Like, what do you say to those people?
It's very, very difficult. It can be done, but it requires a heart and a willingness on that personality to grow. And they have to start small, right? You have to start with a specific task. And from my perspective, the place that they start is a conversation with someone who they've determined is capable of doing this task. And it is, okay, Karen, here's where we are. This is where we have to get to. This is the result that I need from you. And I'm going to let you decide how you are going to put it all together to get me that result. So I'm going to be happy when I get this result. And I'm going to step back and I'm going to allow you to come up with how you're going to get there. I'm here to be a sounding board, but this is your baby. Super difficult for them to do. But if they focus on the result, not the process of how to get there, if they can just, because often what happens is you said it, and what you said is they don't think people are doing it the right way, their way, or I wouldn't do it that way. I think you should go over here or go over there. And so that's when they start getting in and driving people nuts. Get away from the process. Just say, here's the task. Here is the result that I need from you. This is when I need it done by. Is that something that you believe you can do? Okay, any questions? Okay, nope, got it. That person goes back, puts it on their calendar. Here's the date. Here's the result. I'm not checking in with this person until then. And what that does, number one, it builds trust with the employee who is doing this. Okay, well, she actually meant what she said. And it builds trust in that leader in themselves. I can do this. I don't have to micromanage in order for something to be accomplished.
That I love that so much. And it's such simple, yet not easy advice.
No.
I love that so much. And so what do you suggest? Like, I'm thinking for the leader or the owner of the company to have like a confidant, like when they are just like, oh my gosh, I want to micromanage, I want to, like, what do they do? What do you suggest they do when they're in that fight, that internal struggle, like, oh, I want to do it. It's like an addict, like quitting cigarettes or something, like, oh, I need it.
Yeah, do what we all do, right? We go back over in our head. No, I made that commitment. I made that promise. And it could be that it's something that they start their day with every day. So something that I encourage people to do, I have these what's that game with these tiles?
Scrabble,
Right? I have these Scrabble tiles. So get 5 Scrabble tiles, and on it put whatever you want on it, and those Scrabble tiles are there on your desk. And every day you got to have one of them, and that's no micromanaging. That's today and tomorrow. Anything that you are trying to instill in yourself, and part of this being interested, I really encourage people to do that. One of these is a conversation, or send an email, write a note, say hello, right? one of these a day. Have 5 of them on your desk. It could be rocks, it could be pebbles, it could be crystals, it could be whatever you want. But you've got these 5 and they got to go from the left to the right, from this hand to that hand, from this container to that container. And at the end of the day, they need to be there. And before long, you're going to be doing what you need to do to be the leader that will cultivate these raving fans.
I love that, like visual and kind of kinesthetic reminder. Okay, you get to do the task, and it's so obvious if you haven't yet because it's right there.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant too. I love that. This is awesome. So what other tips do you have for our listeners?
For me, there's 2 things when it comes to leadership is a verb. And verb to me is right, it's those actions. The most important verb is to be. You need to be before you do. So the other verb, to do, to be. Set yourself up each day. How do I want to be? Who am I going to be today? So how do I want people to feel? What do I want them to see? And then decide what things you need to do in order to make sure that the being is happening. Small business owners and leaders inevitably feel the pressure, the overwhelm, all the hats, the juggling the balls, and all the rest of it. And it's hard to just stop and pause. And I really encourage that. I used to drive to work. It took me about 17 minutes to get to work. And I would, from the time I got out of my car till I walked in the door, that was my time to say, okay, you're here. Who do you want to be today? And you walk in and you are. Like I've arrived, I'm here, and this is who I'm going to be today. And the other self, give yourself some grace, right? Managing, leading people is hard work. And you're not going to build this team of raving fans in a week, in a month. When I took over the sales department, I was 5 years in at the company, took over the sales department, and I instituted a year-end review that the salespeople did. And I wanted to know everything. What do you hate about the program? What do you hate about the company? What do you hate about the products? What do you hate about me? What am I doing that drives you nuts? I mean, it's the whole, what's the sticking point with other departments, in you doing your job, everything. The first year, I think I got 3 or 4 responses. The next year, it was about double, and they were a little bit longer. By year 3, I was getting 6 and 7 page reports because they believed I was interested. Because in the previous years, if there was a problem with the order entry software, I'd come and say, okay, so show me what's the issue. I'd go to the tech guy. Okay, this is a problem. How do we fix this? Oh, yeah, we can do this. Okay, I'd go back. Okay, it's fixed. Off the list. And if we couldn't do something, I'd say, keep it on your list. Make sure it's on your review for next year. So that's creating, hey, she sees me, she hears me, she's on our side, and she's going to fight for us to be able to do our job to the best of our ability. So it takes time. So that was 3 years in.
Wow. Yeah. So not having that, I need it now American culture, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to take time.
Right.
Yeah. Especially if people have recently come into the building from a very bad workplace experience, there's zero trust. Or if the current owner that I may be talking to right now has really sucked at being a leader, not intentionally, but it's not in their genetics. That's just kind of not how they roll, and they've got to learn how to do all this stuff. So it's going to take some time for people to respond.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I love that. So one last thing, we were talking before the show, and you said on your website you have something free for people that they can get to start the process. Can you talk a little bit about that, please? And
Yeah.
your app. Tell us about your app. That's
Yeah.
great. You have an app.
Okay, so the probably the fastest and the easiest place is just go to rhondadelaney.com/raving fans. And what it is, it's a PDF download, and it talks about creating raving fans, but it's a 25-day challenge and workbook. So one page is 5 days, and I've got 23 or so ideas as far as being interested, like starting to talk to your people and, you know, showing them that you're interested. And so each day you're writing down which one you've chosen, and then writing some notes about, like, you can decide what you want to write. If you want to write how you felt or who you talked to or what you did, I mean, that kind of thing. So it's a little bit like a journal. So there's five weeks of it. And that will help you get into the rhythm of being more observant and asking those quick little questions. You see somebody in the hall. I know one thing that was a challenge for me is when I was going somewhere, my head was down because I was focused on what I was having to present at the next place that I was going to stop. I didn't even see people. So lots of people thought I was mad at them because I was on a mission. I was going by, I didn't even see them, right? But for them, it was like, whoa, she's in a bad mood or something's going on. So it's learning to just, okay, look up. It's as simple as that, and actually see somebody passing you. So it's there. And then on Apple Store and Google Play, the app is called the People Gardener Collective. This same Raving Fans workbook is in there. Plus, there's a 3-video series. You'll love the names of this. It's Show Up, Speak Up, and Shut Up. But it's just all learning more about being a people gardener, being someone who actually nourishes and tends human beings, and making sure that they're in the right spot and getting what they need in order to thrive. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that you have an app. Well, thank you so much for being here, Rhonda. This is
you're welcome.
so enlightening. And I will link everything up in the show notes if you're watching it on YouTube. If you're watching it on Win Win Women, please go to my YouTube channel, which is Karen Seltz, my name. You'll find it pretty easily. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you right here next week. Thank you, Rhonda.
You're most welcome. It's been fun.